That was weird. I just got kicked off of YouTube for a second there. Anyway. My video, the one I was making before, just before I got kicked off, which happens quite often actually. Oh no, they got me. Anyway, this one's talking about, I call it reverse objectification. In other words, stuff that a female can do to a man, but a man cannot do to a woman. And get away with it. Now, and I've seen this a lot. I've seen it at schools. I've seen it, celebrities do it all the time. You know, a female celebrity can grow up a male celebrity. Nobody says shit. Male celebrity does the same thing to a female celebrity. Everybody goes absolutely bonkers. Same thing, for example. I was in school. I saw a girl literally walk up to a dude and grab him by the dick. Nobody said shit. Teachers were sitting there watching this, just turned around and walked away. A week later, dude she groped, walked up to her and groped her. He got kicked out of school and went to court for sexual harassment. Why didn't anything happen to her? I'll tell you why. Because nobody sees it as a bad thing when someone objectifies a male. You know, six-pack abs, chest, yes, you're doing that for looks. You're doing that for yourself, whatever. But we need, if people really want real equality, then women should be just as liable as men. You know, as a male, you can't even say stuff anymore. You can't tell a woman, hey, you look good today. You can get a sexual harassment charge on you right there. If a woman came up to you and said, you look really good in that suit, you can't say shit. And you can try. You can go up to the courthouse and say, hey, she objectified me. They're going to look at you, laugh at you in the face, and walk you out the door. And probably call you a pansy or something along the lines of that. Because only objectification seems to only work if you're a male doing it to a female. Sexual harassment only works that way. Now, I was watching some of these videos, and I was watching this video, it said gender equality. Okay, cool. Is it going to be real gender equality, or is it going to be social justice warrior gender equality? Social justice warriors are the ones who boycott at speeches, at free speeches, at colleges, because, it might hurt their feelings. Because, oh no, it's going to hurt my feelers. Dude, who cares? Your feelings don't matter. I mean, some colleges even have rooms now. They're called safe rooms, where people can go in there and play with puppies and throw balloons around and listen to some Fruit Cup music. All because of what somebody was saying at this speech offended them somehow. And it happened because of this, social justice crap. You know, once people realize that their feelings really don't matter, that's when we might actually start succeeding in America. You know, stop trying to objectify men, just like men should not objectify women. Granted, you tone your body. Gotcha. Like, for example, why do you think the bikini is so tiny? Bikinis cover less of your body than your underwear do. Yet women wear these all the time. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm a straight dude. Of course it doesn't bother me. But they're made for men to gawk at you. The bikini was made for the male to gawk at you. Just like the Speedo was made for a woman to gawk at the male. You know, a mankini is literally a man in a thong. Also known as a banana hammock. Like, when I was working at a gas station here a fucking long time, it was like 7-8 years ago. I was working at this gas station, and a girl told me, you know, you're not supposed to be wearing those. I was wearing, black cargo pants at work. She said, you're not supposed to be wearing those. I was like, I'll stop wearing these when you stop wearing those. She was wearing leggings only. Leggings are made to go underneath your clothes to keep you warm. They're not made to be worn by themselves. Granted, some women look good in leggings, some do not. I will admit that. But again, they're not made for work. They're made for working out, maybe. You know, if you're in yoga pants will work just fine. But they're not made to be in public in. And I find it funny when a woman is wearing these and she doesn't expect a man to gawk at her. Because these things hug your body extremely tight. Some of them even have extra lining by the butt cheek area to make your butt lift. To make it look like you have a more plump ass than you actually do. And women get mad at you if you look at them. It's like, well, don't wear that shit if you don't want me to look. You know, I'm not saying you're asking to be raped, like some of these Democratic fucks say, or some of these Republican fucks say. You know, just because you dress a certain way does not mean you're begging to get raped. And some cops actually believe this. You know, if she dresses like, it's that, you know, if it barks like a dog, you know, wags its tail like a dog, it's probably a dog. They use that same ideology. If she dresses like that, she acts like that, she's probably going to be that. Like, no. Just because she dresses in really revealing clothing does not mean that she wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be raped. Rape is a horrific thing to do. And if you do rape somebody, you deserve to get castrated and buried under a fucking prison. If you're a female rapist, you deserve to get your tits cut off and buried underneath a prison. Same if you're a child molester or an abuser of some kind. You know, it's one of the things that I am passionate about is the whole child molestation. Where anywhere does it say it's okay to molest a child? They're innocent children, man. You don't do that. That's the most disgusting thing you can... I mean, you can murder somebody and people would still forgive you. If you literally straight up raped a child, nobody should forgive you. In fact, you shouldn't live long enough to be forgiven. And again, that's if you actually did it, not if you're just being accused. If you actually did it, then yes, you deserve the most heinous punishment we could think of. Same if you're a rapist in general. You deserve what you're going to get. You know, rapists and child molesters don't live long in prison. Because most men in prison have children. And most men in prison, believe it or not, actually do respect their women. So, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't do it. Just don't. You know, enough said, you shouldn't do it. Now, gender equality. One of the biggest subjects of today. This is why I do believe in gender equality. I completely believe in it, but it's not happening. This is why. If a woman can ball her fist up and start hitting you, and you can't even defend yourself, you have to sit there and just take a whooping from a woman just because she's being a bitch that day, that's not equality. You know, it's like that old guy on the bus. Woman smacked him and literally punched him, and he stood up and he knocked the bitch out. People got livid about it. And everybody was like, oh, why'd you do that? Why you don't hit a woman? He was like, if she puts herself in the position as a male, she's going to be dropped like one. That's how my mom raised me. Granted, I'm not going to hit a woman. You know, I'm a very strong dude. You know, I've put people in the ICU for hitting them. I can't imagine what I would do to a woman. I don't care how much of a butch woman you are. If a dude my size hits you as hard as he can, your ass is not getting up. But again, I know it sounds kind of fucked up to say, but for lack of a better way of saying it, know the role you're in. If you're in a relationship where you know the male is physically violent, get the fuck out of it. Stop giving this guy another fucking chance. And men who have what I call battered women syndrome, which means their women batter them, get the fuck out of the relationship. You know, if a woman is physically violent towards you, leave her. If a male is physically violent towards you, leave him. You don't have to stay in the relationship. If you're scared of the fucker, shoot him. You know, there's only so much a cop can do. You know, that's why I would not be a good cop. Because if I walked in and I saw a woman on the ground with her face all bloody, I'm going to beat the fuck out of that dude. I don't care if I have a badge on me or not. I'm going to beat that fucker to a pulp. They're going to have to pull me off of him while he's going to the morgue. I will gladly go to prison for that. But on the flip side, everybody's always all, well, he's an abusive person. What did she do to instigate it? You know, not every woman instigates, but a lot of them do. You know, if you have a woman who constantly instigates you and nags you and instigates you into fighting, eventually you're going to snap and you're going to pop her. You know, we're men. We're prone to being aggressive. Not violent, aggressive. It's the testosterone in our blood. We are naturally more aggressive. That's why we play more physical sports like football and rugby. And why men always try to, you know, make their bodies all powerhouse and shit. You know, it's called peacocking. When a man wants to, you know, push out his chest and walk all hardcore. It's called peacocking. It's what men do to try to get women. It's animal nature. We tend to fight more. You know, on average, men do get violent a lot faster than women do. Women are more likely to poison somebody. Men are more likely to beat somebody to a bloody pulp. And it usually involves a weapon or with our bare hands. But like I said, for example, there's a female friend I had, and I knew she was an instigator. She loved instigating fights. That was her favorite thing to do. She got into a relationship with a guy who won the fight. Basically, he won her hand, is basically what she said. And I straight told her when she first got in the relationship, dude, if he's going to fight over you and you're not even together, you really think he's not going to fight you now? One of these nights, you're going to instigate it to the point where he's just going to turn around and haul off and cold clock the hell out of you. 6 months later, it's exactly what happened. Granted, of course, she played the innocent role like most women do. Actually, I would say all women that have been battered usually play the victim role. You know, they don't say, well, I also was instigating. You know, they won't admit to it. Granted, there are women out there, like I said, that are with men that just cold clock them for no fucking reason. You know, I've seen this, and like I said, if I see that, I will beat the pulp out of that motherfucker. Like I said, testosterone-fueled violent tendency. It's something I'm passionate about. I am not going to stand by and watch a man beat the pulp out of a female. You know, when I was living in Wichita with one of my ex-fiancés, our neighbor was beating the hell out of his wife. And I happened to have swords in my room. I went and grabbed a sword. I was going to go cut this fucker's head off. My fiancé at the time, both of my roommates, and like 4 of their friends barred the door so I could not leave. As I was intent on killing that motherfucker. So we called the cops. They took him to jail for 3 nights. He came back, guess what happened? He got drunk, he beat the hell out of her again. He was pimping her out, then he'd get pissed off because she was fucking other men. Just let that one sit in there for a second. You know, one of my mom's ex-boyfriends used to beat the pulp out of me when I was a kid. He'd come home drunk and beat my ass until he felt bad about it. He'd go upstairs and go to sleep. I don't know if he remembered it, but he'd do it. He did it every day for a year. I never told my mom. Why? In my eyes, I would rather me take the beating than her. Granted, I was a young kid, but I still had the thought, I'm not going to let this dude do this to my mom. I'd rather take the ass whooping than her, because I can take it. Granted, my mom is when she gets mad, she gets mean. And she can take a punch and she can wallop you with one. But I still don't want to see my mom go through that. So I took the beating. In fact, she didn't even know about it till way later. I told her, I took beatings for you. And she had no idea what I was talking about. And I told her who I was talking about. And she was like, oh, yeah. I mean, if you go back, you can clearly see that I was being abused. Not sexually, but physically. He was, like I said, he's beating the shit out of me for no fucking reason. He's come downstairs and beat the hell out of me for no reason. Like I said, there are monsters like that out there. I got my revenge, though. I saw him a couple years later when, I got bigger, and I knocked his ass out. Simple as that. I haven't seen him since. Good, fuck him. I hope he dies. Call me a dick about it, but you're going to beat a fucking kid because you're not man enough to actually fight a man? You're a bitch. It also goes with the whole bullying thing that I talk about. Why bully somebody? Because they're not wearing the right clothes? Because they don't happen to have the money that your parents have that buy you a Mustang at 16 and then you wreck it 16 days later? You don't get punished because your parents don't believe in spanking? When I got in trouble, I got my ass whooped. That's how I'm out of prison. Because my mom and my stepdad beat me out of the penitentiary. Because if I did something wrong, I got punished. A lot of these people these days don't get punished. The other day, we were at Walmart. Well, I was at Walmart, rather. And this kid couldn't have been more than 15, 16 years old. This little punk-ass kid was literally calling his mom every name under the sun, and she didn't do jack shit. All I wanted to do was grab that kid by the back of his head and slam his head into a brick wall. You do not disrespect your parents. Your parents aren't supposed to be your friends. You're supposed to respect them and be scared of them at the same time. If you're not scared of your parents, I'll admit, I was scared shitless of my mom when she got mad. My stepdad, not so much. He was a drunk, so, I wasn't really scared of him unless he had what we call the smart paddle, which was like a 2x4 or a 2x6 or something like that he sanded down nice and smooth and drilled holes into it. I've talked about this before in some other videos. But anyway, when I got in trouble at school or something, I knew I was going to get my ass beat at home. I did not want to go home. I still manned up, went home, and got my ass whooped. But I learned from it. It's like what Eddie Griffin said. He's a comedian. He said, my mama beat my ass out of the penitentiary. And my mom did the same thing. Every one of my friends that I hung out with have been to jail or prison multiple times for stupid shit. And I guarantee it's because they didn't get their asses beat enough. I'm not saying beat your kid to a pulp. I'm saying whoop their asses. Teach them that if you do something stupid, it depends on what they did. If they just talk back to the teacher, then, I don't ground them or something. But if they went and stole something or broke into a house or, beat up a woman, if your kid beats a woman, you should beat that kid. Take him out to the front yard and beat that fucker to a pulp. I guarantee you that little fucker will never do it again. There was this kid in school, and I will name drop this kid because he's a bitch. His name was Bobby. And I don't know what all was happening, but I know the girl he hit my sister's best friend. And this is the only way you could tell my sister and I are related. She went up to him and she knocked his ass out. If it was me, I would have done the same thing. I didn't hear about it till third period. Nancy heard about it immediately. That's my sister. She beat that fucker down. I gave my sister props for that. I was like, that's how you know she's my sister. That's how you know our parents raised us right. You don't just hit a girl and get away with it. For no fucking reason. And like I said, if he sees these videos, you're still a bitch, dude. You never hit a female. Not for something like that. Now, granted, if it's between knocking a bitch out or her killing my kids, I will be more than willing to stomp that bitch into the ground. Or if she's trying to kill somebody, you know, everybody's like, oh, there's no reason to hit a woman. I can name 5 right now. You know, the scenario that, some comedian said, I don't remember his name, Bill Burr, I think his name was, or is. He said, here's a scenario for you. Your wife's a stay-at-home wife. You're working your ass off. You pay the bills, you pay for the house and everything. You come home one day and she's fucking the neighbor. She takes all your shit. No reason? That should be a reason right there, enough to at least give her one good knockout. I'm not saying put her ass in the morgue or put her ass in ICU. I'm saying slap some sense into her. You know, there was one time I accidentally hit my sister, and I could not even look at her for a week. I couldn't do it. Because every time I looked at her, I would cry. I will honestly admit, I cried, because I can't hit a woman. And it's not because, I'm objectifying a female because she's smaller than me. No, it's my fucking sister. You know, at the time, she was the only family I had. And even to this day, I still won't hit my sister. Now, if a bitch hit my sister, like, this was a joke that I asked. You know, if you're at a bar, and there's a female who dresses like a man, talks like a man, acts like a man, comes up to you and tries to knuckle up on you. You honestly think it's a man, and you knock the bitch out, later finding out it's a female. Are you going to go to jail for it? I can already tell you the answer. You will, because it's still a female. Just like this whole, I feel like a male kind of thing, but you still dress like a woman and act like a woman. You know, if I honestly thought you're a woman, and you put me into the position to where I have to defend myself, your ass is going down. You know, it's a mindset, it's called fight or flight. You either run or you stand and fight. I'm a fighter. I'm not going to run. And if I have to fight you off to get some other people to leave, I'll do it. You know, say a woman has a gun, and I'm at that position to where it's either I beat this bitch to a pulp so these people can get out of here, or I get shot, or these other people get shot for no fucking reason. I'm taking that bitch down. And everybody's like, oh, you're sexist. I'm not a sexist. I'm thinking logically here. You know, say if it was a male, nobody would say shit about it. I drop a dude because he's going to shoot somebody. I'm a hero. I drop a girl because she's going to shoot somebody. I'm a sexist, bigoted prick. I don't get it. But, like I said, gender equality all the way through the board. You know, hell, even, and again with Bill Burr, even hockey has, 5 minutes for instigating. You know, I mean, they do have this thing now where if a male and a female get into a fight, they both go to jail. But the male's going to get more flack about it. I mean, who's to say she wasn't instigating it? You know, I will admit, women have a lot of power now. You know, they have significantly more power than they did when I was in school. You know, a woman can accuse you of rape and your ass is going to jail. They don't even have to prove it. They'll put your ass in jail until the court date. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until proven guilty. There are a lot of guys out there that have been accused of rape that never did it. Still went to jail for it. What happened to the woman? Not a fucking thing. The woman should go to jail too. She should go to jail for as long, if not longer, for falsely accusing this guy. But nobody sees that. Nobody thinks of that. And like I said, rape is a terrible thing. Beating somebody is a terrible thing, whether it's male or female. You know, get your point across and back off. You know, like I said, I'm a martial arts person. I love martial arts. It's in my blood. You know, when I hit somebody and they hit the ground, I back off of. As I'm not going to sit there and just keep pummeling a dude. I mean, that's why I would never do good in UFC, because the first thing I want to do is go to ground and pound. I'm not a ground and pound person. I mean, yeah, I'll submit your ass. Put you in submission, makes a school for your mama, but I'm not going to sit there and start pounding your fucking head in for no goddamn reason. You know, if I'm pounding your head in, you had to do something really fucked up. But no, enough said with that. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus. For starters, there's 3 separate strands of COVID-19. You know, the major one is the COVID-19, the one that can kill you. Chances are, if you're my age and you don't have respiratory problems, you could have already had it, and now you're immune to it. You know, because it shows the same symptoms as having pneumonia or having the common cold. You know, more people have died from the common cold than corona. Still. And everybody's like, oh, well, the number keeps rising. Yeah, because they're testing more people. You know, China, everybody's like, oh, well, China has stopped going. Yeah, because they stopped testing. If they were still testing, I bet their numbers would still be climbing. Our numbers are climbing because we actually are testing people now. You know, the worst place to be in right now for the coronavirus is New York and parts of California. Go figure. Everybody's like 3 inches apart from each other because they live so close. You know, if you're in New York and you live in the apartment complexes that they have plenty of, if your neighbor has the cold, you're probably going to get it soon too because you're that close to each other. And most of the deaths that I have seen were in either California or New York. And almost every death that I've seen was elderly person with respiratory problems. And one of the things that the Democrats are throwing out now is that this older lady and her husband drank fish tank cleaner, even though it clearly says on the thing not for human consumption, because it has a chemical that Donald Trump is promoting, has a chemical in it that is said to combat the coronavirus. It's not just the chemical that's in that cleaner, you fucking idiot. And then she's turning around and saying, oh, well, you know, her husband died from it. It's fucking poison. Of course your husband died from it. And she's in, you know, intensive care. And it's like, well, duh, you drank poison. You know, it's a cleaner. You might as well just went out and got rat poison and downed a fucking box of rat poison, you dumbass. Now, the coronavirus is still spreading because people are not listening. You know, I go to and from work. We actually got papers today saying that we are an essential business, so we're still working through the coronavirus. Hopefully soon we'll get that hazard pay, if you will. But if my boss has anything to say about it, it's not going to happen. But anyway, it says we are an essential business because we do make parts for the military. We make parts for everything, basically. And I'm like, fine, okay. I mean, my boss is kind of freaking out about it because one of the guys that was working on one of the new machines today actually came out positive with the coronavirus. My boss is 60. And he had an aneurysm. So, I mean, he's worried. And a lot of the men that work there have respiratory problems. A lot of them are older. A lot of them have COPD. A lot of them have asthma. You know, so a lot of the guys are freaking out. And I completely agree with it. You know, I'd freak out too. You know, we're getting paid chump change to potentially sacrifice our lives if some of these guys get caught with it. You know, if some of these guys get the virus, a lot of the guys at work are not going to be too happy. They're going to be in the hospital. But like I said, we still know nothing about the coronavirus. We know nothing about what's going on. We don't have any information, any new information about this whole corona stuff. Now, granted, the coronavirus, like I said, is a bad thing. It's a terrible, terrible thing to have. But again, if China would have nibbed it last year when they knew it was going on, none of this would have happened. But again, I'm not calling it the Chinese flu. I mean, in all rights, it is the Chinese flu because it came from China. But I'm not saying that we should attack Chinese people like some of these morons have done because of this virus. That's literally racism right there. It's just like in World War II, a lot of people didn't realize we were putting Japanese people, American Japanese people, into concentration camps. Granted, they were internment camps, is what we called them. We didn't torture them. We didn't throw them into burners like we did with the Jews, like the Nazis did with the Jews, the Polish, and the American warriors and all that. We weren't that bad, but we still put them in internment camps because the government was afraid that some of these guys could have been spies. It's like, some of these dudes work at gas stations, dude. What the fuck is he going to spy on? How much the gas is? It's all about fear. That's all it is. You know, it's like I say in every one of my videos. Do your own research. Don't follow what the politics are doing. Damn sure don't follow what the news is telling you. As if you follow what the news is telling you, you're going to be freaked the fuck out. Like, scared out of your fucking mind. For one, sit back and breathe. It says, basically be a hermit for a while. Fine. Stay at home. Only go out when you have to. Stop going out to restaurants. Stop going to your fucking friend's house because you're bored. You know, hell, we're Americans. We're lazy. Watch Netflix. There's billions of movies on there. Watch that. Watch Hulu. Get on the internet. You know, you can still be social. You just can't be physically there. You can even go outside. You can go outside and do exercise. Just don't go to gyms. Most gyms are closed now, which is a good thing. You know, gyms, theaters, swimming pools, these are things that are closed. They need to close down the beaches in California is what they need to do. But again, they're not going to. One second. Oh, let's see. Where did I put that water? Anyway. Stickle. Anyway, like I said, people need to stop listening to the news. No, unless your newscaster does not work for NBC, Fox News, CNN, or any of those other extremely Democratic and Republican places. You know, actually do some research. It's not that hard. They haven't outlawed it yet. See, I remember when 9/11 happened. The news completely threw it out of proportion. Yes, it was a terrible thing. And yes, it was a sad thing. It was a sad day. Fact is, we were being warned by the people in the Middle East since 96. In fact, they tried an attack already. They tried to blow up the trade centers from the basement in 96. Or 98, one of the two. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw the warning. Okay. Now, World Trade Centers got hit. Again, sad thing. You listen to the news, they were saying 10,000 plus people died. Not accurate at all. At most, it was mainly maybe half that. And the reason why I remember it so well is I think I was in second or third grade. And again, it's one of the few name drops I will do. It was my teacher. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Her name was Mrs. Lamson. She was an amazing, phenomenal teacher. She was a sweetheart. You know, granted, she did kind of look like Sir Elton John from the 70s. Which, again, I like Sir Elton John's music, so whatever. But she was a sweetheart. She was one of the nicest ladies I've ever met. Granted, I was in second or third grade, so of course she was nice to me. I was a kid. For all I know, she could have been heartless at home, but I doubt it. When it happened, I was in her class. And principal came up on the speaker and said, "Turn your TVs on to the news." And we saw it. And like I said, this one was always happy. I never saw angry. I mean, there were kids in there that were just vicious little fucks, and she was still so sweet. And she was crying. I mean, just waterfalls, man. And it was because one of her kids or one of her cousins or something was in the Trade Center. Granted, they lived, they were okay. But it was the initial shock that actually happened. I was a young kid. I didn't understand what was going on. If you, now that I'm older, I researched it. I watched every bit of coverage they had on there. And again, you can literally see what's going on. I mean, obviously, Trade Centers got hit. Then all the speculation happens. And everybody starts going apeshit. Everybody starts hating, it was fucked up, but what I found funny, or actually what I found great, as well as funny, is it was 2001. There was a big racial thing going on between white guys and black guys and all that shit. When that happened, we united and we went against another kind of brown. We went against people from the Middle East. We united. When we united, we were stronger than hell. I mean, even though I'm not religious, I'll use this as an example. If Satan and his army came up and tried to take over America at that time, we would have stomped that fucker back down to hell. We were that united. As soon as that was over with, we went back to hating each other. Why? I'm not saying peace, love, and everything. There are some people that are just dicks. There are some women that are just fucking bitches. It's a double-edged sword. You got bitches on one side, dicks on the other. And you got men who are bitches too. And that's not a sexual term. Yeah. Anyway, if we united again to where we were actually the United States instead of being the individual states of America, we'd be strong again. Granted, our president at the time was kind of retarded. I may be from Texas. He's from Texas. He's still stupid. I mean, come on. You ask, is our children learning? You're fucking retarded. Yes, we had a ding-dong president. And there's a lot of evidence to say it was a false flag. We just pinned it on the guy who said he was going to do this. He warned us he was going to do it. Al-Qaeda was telling us they were going to do this. They were going to fly planes into buildings. They told us this multiple times, but did we answer? No. Here's the funny thing. It happened. That's not the funny thing. That's the sad thing. Funny thing is, as soon as that happened, directly following that, what else happened? Homeland Security got a bump. Now, we can't even take a toothbrush onto a plane. You can't take a nail file on a plane. What are you going to do? File down someone's cuticles? What the fuck is that going to... You can't even take fingernail clippers on a plane. Seriously? Like I said, I just found it ironic, as well as funny, that as soon as this happened, Homeland Security went fucking apeshit. Before, granted, there were some things we couldn't do, like, before Homeland Security took over, and they did take over. Before they took over, you could drink on a plane. I'm pretty sure you could smoke on a plane. You could take knives on a plane. Granted, they were in your suitcase in the luggage department, but There were people transporting guns and all kinds of shit on planes. Nobody cared. 9/11 happens. A year later, you can't take a toothbrush because you can file that down to stab somebody. For some reason, you can't take toothpaste. It's like, what, you're going to make them gargle fucking toothpaste? Oh, their breath is going to smell good. You can't take, you can only take like 3 pounds of stuff, like one change of clothing in your carry-on. It got so bad that, the one thing that they have been doing that I do agree with is the whole border thing. We do need to close down our borders. We need to keep them closed until we get this shit under control. I would 100% agree with that. But this whole, you can't take a toothbrush on a plane, you can't take a nail file on a plane. You can't even get into the cockpit anymore, which is fine. You shouldn't have been able to get in there in the first place. But the cockpit, the door for the cockpit has a coded thing on the inside of the cockpit to where you have to dial in a number to get out. Some of them you have to slide an ID card. And the person on the other side, the person in the cockpit, sees you on camera and then lets you in. I agree with that. I will admit, if our security would have been a little tighter, for one, they were using box cutters, okay? The blade is that long. You're telling me, out of everybody that was on there, nobody was man enough to stand up and get a little cut so they can knock a dude out? Seriously? Like I said, it's fear. It's not security, it's fear. I'm not going to lie. I would have loved to see that dude get onto a plane from Texas. Halfway in there, he would have pulled out that little fucking box cutter knife. You know how many of them dudes would have been laughing at him? They would have been honky-tonk stomping that motherfucker all the way back home. And another thing I'm going to talk about is the death penalty. Oh yes, the big one. One of the big ones. But it's not humane to put someone in an electric chair or to hang them or to do what they did in the 1700s and cut the head off. I think you should be, if you are going to be executed, you should be executed to the extreme of what you did. If you did something that was peaceful, like, I don't know, that internet dude who leaked a bunch of shit. If he was going to go to be executed, then yeah, sure, lethal injection. If you killed a bunch of people, you should be hung or your head chopped off. If you beat a person to a bloody pulp, like if you're a child molester or a spousal abuser or an animal beater, and you're in prison and your ass is on death row. For starters, you shouldn't be on death row for 20 years. If you're on death row, you should be going to die. That should be last stop shop right there. It shouldn't be, we wait for 20 years, then pop him. No. Zap his ass. Gas chamber him, I don't give a fuck. If you did something that cruel, you deserve to be killed in a cruel way. Granted, either way, it's still murder. He murdered 15, so we murder him. Death penalty is death penalty. I'm pro death penalty. Granted, like I said, there actually has to be outstanding evidence that you did what they say you did. Not just some douchebag accusing you. And along with this death penalty thing and the child molestation thing, I think preachers, this is the only religious thing I'm going to talk about right now. Preachers who have raped little kids. I don't care if there's no extradition. They should send somebody from the United States to go pick that fucker up, bring him back here, and beat that bitch to a pulp. Castrate him and throw him under the fucking prison. Or better yet, throw them in the prison and say, hey, child molester, have fun. That's what needs to happen. Stop letting these guys get away with it because they got a book in their hand. You know, it's been happening since the beginning of religion, okay? As long as there has been religion, there has been somebody using it to their advantage. Just like politics. You give somebody power, they're going to use it. You know, it's like the George Washington thing. You know, they offered George Washington basically a kingmanship, where he would be a king, and he said, no, we just got out of that. You know, I want us to be, you know, I want to be a president. You know, 4 to 8 years, get me out. If you offered any politician today to be the king of the United States, they would take that in a heartbeat. Because they're greedy, just snobs, man. That's all they are. Like, oh, they're nice people. No, they're greedy fucks. They don't care about you. They care about them greenbacks. They care about how much money they gonna get. You know, if you really want America to be so good again, stop paying the senators $1 million a year. Stop letting them sit there till they fucking die. You know, senators should only be in as much as the president. 4 to 8 years. That's it. Mayors go through, you know, they go through it all the time too, just like presidents do. Why not senators? There's a senator in there right now who's freaking senile. You know, he can barely move, but he's still there because he's a senator. He gets a shit ton of money. Why? Why are you paying these guys to go into a room one day out of the year to vote over some stupid shit? No. Send that fucker packing. You know, if the way I look at it, say you passed a bill and you're a senator. That bill was crap. You instantly should be taken out. I'm not saying killed, taken out of the Senate. You know, take your last bit of pension and get the fuck out. We don't need you. And on top of that, you should not be able to run in politics again. Especially if your little so-called plan that you did involves hurting personal businesses or hurting civilians in general. Yeah, go away. We don't need you. One more thing. This is going to be pretty quick. And then I'm going to be done with this video for the night. Like I said, I'm going to try to make videos every other day. I'm especially going to keep with my Sunday specials because I fucking love them. Anyway. Damn, I forgot what I was going to say. Son of a bitch. It's been a long day. Yeah, I completely forgot what the hell I was going to say. And I had it all in my head, too. Don't you fucking hate when that happens? Now you're just sitting there thinking of something and it goes away. It's probably going to pop into my head after I get off the video. Son of a bitch. What is it? I don't recall. Anyway, I guess I'm just going to cut this off now. Have a great night, guys. It's, like I said, it's like 1:30 in the morning here. I don't know what time it is, wherever the hell you're at. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Stay safe. And stay inside, guys. You know, wash your hands. Use sanitizer. If you do have to go out and get your shit and come home. You know, be safe, guys. You know, you want the coronavirus to stop. Be safe. You guys have a good night.